So I'd like to welcome everybody to the 2014 David Burke Distinguished Journalism Award ceremony. Most of you probably know this, but it was named after David Burke, who was a former chairman of BBG. And the Burke Awards are given by the board annually to distinguished journalists working for U.S. international media. The Burke Award recognizes a select group, those who further this mission by informing and enlightening with originality, as well as impacting the lives of our audience in a meaningful way. The award honors people who have distinguished themselves through extraordinary talent, hard work, and above all, dedication to the highest standards of journalism. The board established the David Burke Distinguished Journalism Award as the highest form of recognition in our entire agency. David Burke's illustrious career as a news and broadcast executive and public service exemplifies the values that this award celebrates. At ABC News and CBS News, everywhere but NBC News, David steadfastly defended the demands of professional journalism and the right of people to have access to the news against the expediency of short-term commercial gain. As the founding chairman and leader of BBG for our first 3 years, he imprinted on our collective consciousness the cardinal importance of fulfilling our mandate free of any inhibition, hesitancy, or outside control. The award also carries with it in recognition a form of $2,500 by network. Let me quickly read the award citation. Quote, "In recognition of your dedication to advancement of the cause of freedom and democracy through free exchange of ideas as exhibited by your original work. You have enlightened audiences and had an impact on their lives in a lasting, meaningful way. As such, the board is proud to honor you with this high esteemed award." Before presenting the awards, we'd like to share this short video which highlights some of the excellent work by the 2014 award winners. Run the tape.
The David Burke Distinguished Journalism Awards recognize integrity, bravery, and originality in reporting across the networks of the Broadcasting Board of Governors. This year, 8 awards are being given to outstanding journalists for their bravery and exceptional work. The Radio Free Europe Radio Liberty 2014 Burke Award goes to the men and women in the Ukraine Services Kiev Bureau. In late November of 2013, the country erupted into protests after President Viktor Yanukovych unexpectedly backed away from an agreement with the EU. Police violence against demonstrators and journalists quickly grew in size and intensity. The Kiev Bureau was live blogging and filing dramatic video from the epicenter of the conflict, offering its audiences in-depth analysis, eyewitness stories, and reactions from different sides. The Voice of America 2014 Burke Award winners are Ann Look, Adrisa Fall, and Bagasi Kura. In December 2013, Ann Look traveled to northern Nigeria to report on how the city of Maiduguri was rebounding from months of attacks by Boko Haram. Shortly after she arrived, however, the Islamic extremist group attacked the Air Force base in the city. At the risk of revealing her presence, Ann filed a radio report about the attack and was the only Western journalist reporting on the scene. Adrisa Fall went to Bangui, Central African Republic to collect first-hand accounts from people fleeing religious violence. Adrisa came under attack himself when an angry mob began assaulting his car with rocks and machetes. The crowd smashed through the window of the car and attempted to pull out Adris, but he was saved at the last minute by French soldiers. Bagasi Kura provided compelling coverage of Mali's 2013 election. In the face of considerable dangers, he contributed to daily radio pieces, video reporting, and a multimedia blog. He also covered the peace treaty between Tuaregs and the Malian government. The Radio Free Asia 2014 Burke Award goes to Mo Tu-Ung from the Burmese service. Mo Tu-Ung was one of the first journalists to join RFA after press freedom reforms allowed the network to open an office in Burma. and his resourcefulness and dedication were invaluable to RFA's efforts to establish its budding operations in the country. His reporting included covering elections, political reforms, and pivotal events among Burma's ethnic groups. Tragically, on November 25, 2013, while on assignment for RFA, Mo Tuong was in a traffic accident and died. He was 23. The Middle East Broadcasting Network's 2014 Burke Award goes to Omar Al-Obadi and Maytham Al-Shabani. Omar Al-Obadi of Al-Hur, Iraq, reports exclusively from the Anbar province, where very few journalists are brave enough to work. Despite extreme security challenges, he provides balanced and objective reporting. His reporting has made him a target, and in one instance, while on his way to interview the head of the counterterrorism unit, Omar was targeted by an ISIL sniper. Fortunately, he was not seriously injured, and he continues to report on issues that are important to the Iraqi people. Maytham Al-Shabani of Al-Hur, Iraq, courageously reports from the cities of Diwaniyah and Babel. For the past 7 years, Maytham has provided comprehensive reports on the presence of ISIL and Al-Qaeda in Iraq. He extensively covers the root causes of ISIL, such as poverty and government mismanagement, topics not reported on by many local and pan-Arab media outlets. Maytham is frequently embedded with the Iraqi security forces, risking his own safety to get the story. The Office of Cuba Broadcasting 2014 Burke Award winner is Rolando Rodriguez Lobaina. Rolando is recognized as an independent journalist and producer in Cuba. Working with limited technological resources, Rolando and his small team of video journalists have traveled the island and risked imprisonment to document stories that focus on health, social issues, the environment, sports, freedom of expression, and other issues that directly impact Cubans. Congratulations to all the 2014 Burke Award winners for their exceptional bravery, integrity, and exemplary reporting.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask one at a time each network representative to come up here and join me in presenting the award. So let's start with Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, John Giambalvo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all the members of the BBG for their recognition of the award-winning work of the journalists and staff of the Kiev Bureau of RFRL's Ukrainian service. Many journalists dream of the opportunity to travel to foreign lands to cover breaking news of people struggling to free themselves from the heavy-handed rule of a corrupt and unresponsive regime. The journalists working in the Kiev Bureau needed only to leave their offices just off the Maidan or Independence Square. The revolution had come to them. As you saw a few moments ago, RFRL was the first to begin live streaming of the Euromaidan protests and kept providing singular coverage as the Ukrainian people stood up to the government leaders who refused to hear their demands for a just, fair, and Western future. The Bureau captured video proof of the passion and commitment to a brighter future demonstrated by hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians, even as the government sought to hide the facts of this popular uprising. Bureau journalists regularly put themselves in harm's way to get this story, get it all, and get it right. The victory of the Euromaidan protesters in February of this year, of course, was not the end of the story for Ukraine. War continues to rage in the eastern part of the country, followed by the illegal annexation of Crimea by Russia. The Bureau continues to report from the front lines: Sevastopol, Kerch, Donetsk, Mariupol, Sloviansk, and to seek ways to keep all Ukrainians informed of objective news and information. The service is also helping to reveal to all Ukrainians the extent of the corruption that threatened to overwhelm their land prior to the revolt, and to push back against those who seek to weaponize information and debase the value of credible, fact-based journalism. RFERL is extremely proud of the work done by the Ukrainian service and its bureau in Kiev, and pleased that this work has been recognized with a 2014 David Burke Distinguished Journalism Award. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the prestigious David Burke Award. It's a great pleasure and honor for our journalistic team in this dramatic and very difficult situation for Ukrainian nation. I remember the first spontaneous live broadcast from the Maidan. We were the first who broadcast it. I remember the first pepper gas during the reporting, and I remember the other Maidan, called the anti-Maidan. And sharing a variety of opinions on air, we made interviews with both pro-European activists and presidential supporters who gathered in Mariinsky Park in Kyiv. We remember when Radio Svoboda's reporter and cameraman were beaten and detained by the special police in January 2014, and when Radio Svoboda correspondents were also abducted or attacked by pro-Russian activists in March and May in the Crimea and Kharkiv. Coverage of the crisis in Ukraine presented various problems, which our team has been solving competently, often under high pressure. Euromaidan and Revolution of Dignity turned out to be as a big challenge for our team as for the Ukrainian people. Now my colleagues are covering the war in the East, where people die every day, even during the truce. Evidence of this are video footages shot by our correspondents and used by the world's biggest media. Our challenge is to keep a significant part of the new audience attracted by the Maidan protests and coverage of the conflict with Russia, as well as to adhere to the highest editorial standards on all the platforms.
That was our bureau chief, Ina Kutsanova from Kiev. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Now let's turn to VOA. David.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can't resist just saying at the beginning that I had the honor of working for David Burke at ABC News. David Burke and Moon Arledge, two of the finest broadcasting professional leaders, media leaders that I've ever had the privilege to work with, and I'm working with some of the best now as well. So it's nice to think about David and his passion, tough-mindedness, and sense of humor as I stand here today. The awards for VOA, the three journalists we are recognizing today, really it's all summed up in one word: courage. These are some of the bravest journalists we have, and they show that often, almost too often, I would say. And Idris is a repeat offender on this one. He's won this award before. Idris has been with us for, I think, 22 years at ABC. I mean, there I go. At VOA. And you've heard the story how he almost became a casualty of the conflict when he was working in the Central African Republic this past year. We're so lucky and we're so grateful that French troops arrived just in time to save him. But Idris is fearless and courageous and truthful in a way that is powerful for the audiences of our French to Africa service, as is his colleague Bagassi Kora, who's a native of Burkina Faso, but who's being recognized this time for his work, his exceptional work in covering the elections in Mali. Bagassi went there when it was very dangerous to work as a journalist. He was prolific in his reporting, providing daily radio and video stories and a blog, all sites of coverage. He also covered the peace treaty between the Tuaregs and the Malian government, and that was a complicated and difficult and dangerous story to cover in itself. Since then, Bagassi has also been to the Central African Republic, traveling hundreds of kilometers on dangerous roads to get the news for our all-important African audience. So he is the second winner, and the third is Anne Look, our Dakar bureau chief. again, the word is courage. You heard about her reporting trip to Maiduguri along with our stringer Heather Murdoch. They were there. This is a very, very dangerous place because of Boko Haram these days. They were there at a particularly difficult time, and a government curfew closed the airport just as they were about to board a flight and get safely out of there. After a week of trying and failing to get out, they decided to leave by car. That's a 500-mile road, much of it through Boko Haram territory. So again, we salute their courage. We're just so thrilled that they made it through. But these are the kinds of things that VOA journalists do to try to get the news for our audiences. That's how much they care. And I'm just thrilled to be able to salute three of the finest today with this award. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Crystal, please come up first.
Thank you very much. I am very shy speaking in front of people because after 20 years when I speak to people, they don't see me. That's the radio. And really, I love working with VOA because when I arrived here, I think I was kind of 38 years old. And I covered war in DRC, covered war in Burundi, covered war in Rwanda, went to Mali, and recently to CAR, Central Africa. It means that I have been doing this job for at least 37 years. And now I think I may pass on my survival kit to the younger ones. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, they look at their own.
I would like to thank everybody who trusted me, who have been around for almost 2 years now, and to be able to trust me and help me get to these places, and everybody who was involved from the beginning, and everybody who on the ground I'm thinking of drivers or the fixers that I work with, because usually they are the ones who know the people, who know the places, and they all help a lot with the people here in DC or on the ground in Mali or Central African Republic or elsewhere. I would like to thank everybody, and it's a great honor to be receiving this award. Thank you so much.
Picture, yeah.
As acting head of Central News, David Jones.
I'm just the guy that was sitting in the office sweating bullets for that week while I was trying to get out of my degree. But she sent along a short remarks for me to read on her behalf. She says, "Thank you so much for this award. Heather Murdoch and I jumped at the chance to go to Maiduguri back in December 2013. There had not been an attack there in months. The city was safe. Nightlife was resuming. People were relaxed. The army said they had the militants on the run. Then the attack happened. It was a coordinated, multi-pronged assault against military and police installations on the edge of the town. I slept through the whole thing. The next day at the scene, soldiers were shell-shocked and angry. There was a 24-hour curfew. People who spoke freely to us before the attack now declined to be on camera. In low tones, people murmured, 'How could this have happened?' The city was transformed. So much of this job is about getting there and being there. You weigh the risks and do what you can to mitigate them, but really you have to find a way to go. I found that I just can't understand some things by phone. Sorry, Mom, I have to put on my rubber boots and go to Liberia to see what an Ebola epidemic is like. Heather and I happened to be in Maiduguri for a key moment, but we had also gotten a chance to sit down with people who had been there since the insurgency began almost a decade ago. What I learned from them has informed all of my Boko Haram reporting cities. I thank VOA for the opportunity to go to these places and do this reporting. And once again, I thank you all for this recognition. And then in a private note, Anne asked that she wasn't quite sure what to say here. She says, feel free to throw in more feeling honored and grateful stuff if that's what people do. All I can say to Anne is know it's for us to be grateful to you and to all the award recipients today for what they do. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for everything. Next, let me invite Carlos Garcia Perez up here on behalf of OCB.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to the BBG. In the early 2000s, there were several burgeoning independent press agencies operating in Cuba that were presenting an alternative to state-run media. Agencies like Cuba Press, Nueva Prensa Cubana, Línea Sur Press, and Agencia Patria. There were more, but these are the ones that come to mind today. Then in March of 2003, while the world was busy watching events unfold with the war in Iraq, the Cuban government arrested and tried 75 independent journalists, librarians, and human rights activists. Some stayed in Cuba after serving jail sentences. Some were eventually forced into exile. In the wake of this crackdown, known worldwide as Cuba's Black Spring, these press agencies disbanded, and although voices of the dissident momentarily became a whisper, a new generation of independent journalists emerged with the desire of still having a free press on the island. On May 16 of 2012, and I have to thank this idea to my colleagues, VOA, David, Brian, Libby, John, I'm not forgetting, because you inspire me. I remember Brian showing a tape of an incident that happened in the Middle East, and this guy was, the bullets were flying on top of his helmet. I said, I need to get one of those. These guys very courageous people in Cuba, but that inspired me of the work that you do to seek this OFAC license. So I thank you for that. So on May 16 of 2012, the Martis were granted a license by the Office of Foreign Assets Control, known as OFAC, for the hiring of Cuban nationals as multimedia journalists and producers. The Martis wanted to tap into the potential of new press agencies filling the void left after Cuba's Black Springs. Agencies like Hablemos Press, Agencia de Prensa Libre Avireña y Oriental, Cubanacán Press, Alianza Democrática Press, and Palenque Visión, were Rolando Rodriguez Loaina, a Cuban ex-political prisoner, the last two were Rolando's, and a Cuban ex-political prisoner and dissident, who was already known for his independent journalist efforts through the production of videos from inside the island. What began with a handful of supporters producing a documentary about the conditions of jails used to house political prisoners on the island grew into a steady stream of video reports on human interest stories that generated more and more followers, some of them on YouTube. Frustrated with maladministration, deteriorating economic and social conditions, and rapid corruption on the island, Cubans, and these are normal live Cubans, these are not dissidents, these are just regular citizens on the island, were starting to speak in front of Mr. Loaina's cameras. Today, Mr. Loaina and his team of video journalists supply the Marti platforms with original content from across the island. They are routinely harassed, detained, and have equipment confiscated for simply raising a lens to record the reality of Cuban life and for giving average Cubans a chance to voice how they view their daily lives. More importantly, they have created a space for other individuals and press agencies on the island to develop and make a living doing a job for which they have great passion. To be facilitators for in-growth free flow of information is one of my team's greatest accomplishments. So I thank the BBG and I thank Rolando for the great work he does, and there's a pre-recorded acceptance speech, which is difficult in communication.
Hola, mi nombre es Rolando Rodríguez Lobaina, director de la agencia de audiovisuales Palenque Visión. A través de este medio quiero agradecer el premio David Burke de Periodismo 2014 otorgado a nuestra agencia. Es importante resaltar que este reconocimiento es el resultado del esfuerzo y el sacrificio de unas alrededor de 20 personas que integran nuestra agencia. La labor del periodismo independiente en Cuba es un oficio que es perseguido por el régimen y producto de ello mis colegas han sufrido arrestos arbitrarios, detenciones, deportaciones, ocupaciones de cámaras y también golpizas en las calles, en el deber de sus funciones. En nombre de todos los periodistas independientes de Cuba, muchas gracias.
Okay, thank you, Carlos. Next, Radio Free Asia. I believe Nancy Shui is going to come up here and accept.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. My thanks to the Board of Governors and of course to Libby, RFU President. I'm very much honored to accept this award on behalf of Motive. And I will make sure that this award will reach his parents. When I went to, I'm sure his parents will be very proud to know that their son work has been acknowledged, appreciated. When I went to Yangon to offer our condolences, the first day his mother asked us, "Can you give back my son?" And to that, I don't think I can console her in any way. And to this day, that stays with me. And as you all know, Motu was our very first recruit when we were trying to open our office in Yangon. And even though he was a very short time with us, he was able to exceed our expectations. And I think he would be so proud if you were looking down or looking from somewhere, wherever he is, to see that he's been honored with this award. And I'm sure I will see a big smile on his face. And to this, Motu, for you. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Obviously, an honor, but also a very tough day for his family and for Radio Free Asia. So thank you and condolences. And finally, Brian, if you come up here for Middle Eastern Broadcasting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you all know, 2014 has been a very difficult year for MBN's field correspondents, but particularly in Iraq, as daily they face real danger to their life and security. It was hard to single out the two correspondents that we're honoring today, Omar Abadi and Maitham El-Shabani. But they did distinguish themselves among all the many brave men and women that report daily from Iraq. Their outstanding bravery, integrity, and professionalism embody the essence of the David Burke Award. The willingness on a daily basis to put their lives at risk to tell those stories that the people of Iraq need to hear and aren't hearing from other sources. It's truly a testament to their courage and their commitment to journalism, the mission of BBG and MBN. In one remarkable instance, Omar traveled to Ramadi in Anbar province to report on ISIL activities when he was attacked by ISIL fighters. after he escaped with the help of Iraqi police, he refused to take the rest of the day off. He wanted to finish the story. He wouldn't go home until the story was finished. For Omar, the story came before his personal safety. Similarly, Matham has continued his daily reporting from Babel and Diwania despite the threat of an al-Qaeda fatwa that has targeted him for death. He continues to report to work on a daily basis. Matham, like Omar, put the daily needs of their audience above their personal safety. So I'd like to say that all of us at MBN and BBG are proud of what Omar and Matham do on a daily basis. I'd like to play a short message from each of them thanking the BBG for the award.
أتقدم بوافر الشكر والتقدير إلى رئيس مجلس أمناء البث الإذاعي والتلفزيوني الأستاذ شير وأعضاء المجلس، وشكري موصول إلى رئيس شبكة الشرق الأوسط الأستاذ براين كونف على منحكم هذا الشرف لي، وأن كل ما قدمته كان بدعم معنوي من قبلكم لتجاوز الظروف الصعبة التي مررنا بها وإنجاز التغطية بشكل تام، إضافة إلى ما نتمتع به من حرية في التعبير في قناتنا. مراسل الأنبار عمر العبيد.
الحرة عراق قناة واسعة الأضياف، يعني تتقبل جميع الآراء، وربما هذا أبعدنا عن الكثير من المشاكل باعتبار أن التقرير الواحد يستقطب عدة آراء، يعني عدة آراء متناحرة، وبالتالي تكون القناة في محل استقلال. فهذا بالتأكيد كان مشجع لي كمراسل أن أعمل في الميدان باعتبار أن هذه القناة مستقلة، ومنحت الكثير من الفرص، فرص التألق والإبداع، وأيضا فرص حرية التعبير إن كان لي أو لأي متحدث يكون من الضيوف.
So I'd like to thank all of you and congratulations to those of you who are here. We are very proud of all of our media professionals, and there's an extra little bit of pleasure in recognizing the courage, integrity, and originality of the BBG journalists we honor here today. So thank you all for being here, and thanks for honoring these people. Thank you.